Hello, you're listening to E-Bible Fellowship's new Open Forum Excerpts, and now we present the following excerpt.
Welcome to our question and answer program. Please go ahead with your call.
Matthew 12, 40, 41, please.
Matthew 12, verses 40, 41. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonas, and behold, a greater than Jonas is here.
Yeah, my question is, when was that when happening? Because the context in verse 31 seems to take it beginning of the foundation of the world, because he's talking about the men of Jonah. But in verse 40, it's saying shall be in. So it's talking about future tense. So I'm a little confused about when the heart of the earth took place. When was Christ in the heart of the earth? And exactly what is it?
The heart of the earth.
Yeah.
So as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. And the heart of the earth is a figure of speech to represent hell. You know, Jonah was thrown overboard on the ship, and the whale swallowed him and took him down into the depths of the sea. Now, that's a figure, and in Jonah 2, it says, out of the belly of hell cried I. And the word hell, always, when we read the word hell in the Old Testament, it's a translation of the Hebrew word Sheol. There's no other word translated hell in the Old Testament. And Sheol is equally translated as grave. So in the belly of hell, or in the belly of the grave, cried I. And so we see these tie-ins concerning Jonah, type of Christ, cast into the sea, goes down into the depths, likened to the grave or hell. And Jesus says, as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Now, if we go to Romans chapter 10, it says in verses 6 and 7, but the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise, say not in thine heart, who shall ascend into heaven, that is to bring Christ down from above, or who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up Christ again from the dead. Who shall descend, go down into the deep? And the Greek word translated as deep is abysso. You know, the Greek word from which we get our English word, the abyss. And the abyss, you know, it's a very deep part of the ocean or a sea. You go down, down, down into the depths, and it's called an abyss. Well, the Greek word abysso is the same word translated as bottomless or bottomless pit in Revelation, in the book of Revelation. And Satan is cast into the bottomless pit in Revelation chapter 20. He came under the wrath of God. So the bottomless pit is a figure of being under the wrath of God, of hell or the grave. And Christ descended into the abyss. He descended into the grave. He died. He was the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. And if you're slain, it means you were killed, you died, you're in the grave. He's in hell, therefore, as that is the Bible's teaching concerning the grave. It is equivalent to hell. And so Christ in the heart of the earth, again, is a figure of speech that would identify with being in the grave, being dead, and being under the wrath of God in one's death. For instance, in I think it's Psalm 139, David, here basically a type and a figure of Christ, the Lord Jesus, is speaking of being knitted together in his mother's womb. And that ties in to Jonah being in the belly of hell. The word womb and belly are the same. So it's the womb of hell. And the reason God links the womb, a mother's womb, where a baby forms, to hell, the belly of hell, is because Jesus himself was formed, as it were, as the Son of God. As he died, you see, Romans 1 tells us that Christ was declared to be the Son of God through the resurrection of the dead. And if you think about that, that means he's dead, and in death, he's in hell, and through resurrection, coming up from death, coming out of hell, he's declared to be the Son of God. And that would connect with the language that he is the firstborn from the dead. In Revelation chapter 1, we read in verse 5, and from Jesus Christ, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead. In Colossians chapter 1, it says, speaking of Jesus, in verse 15, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. Every creature can be translated the firstborn of all creation. So Christ died, the lamb slain from the foundation of the world. In death, he's in hell. Hell is like a womb, the belly or womb of hell, in which, according to Psalm 139, he's being knitted together. That is, fashioned just like a baby in his or her mother's womb is being formed, fashioned by the Creator, creating a new human being. And then we read in Psalm 139 in verse 15, my substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. The lowest parts of the earth. That certainly is not speaking of, David's literal human or earthly mother. He wasn't knit together at all in the lowest parts of the earth. He was in his mother's womb. But Christ, who David typifies, was formed, fashioned, knit together in his mother's womb. In Hebrews 11, we read in verse 11, through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed and was delivered of a child when she was past age. And we know she was 90, Abraham was 100, and we know the child was Isaac. And Isaac himself a great type of Christ. So Sarah bearing Isaac and Isaac will be the firstborn son to Abraham of Sarah. Of course, he had Ishmael before, but as far as God's concerned, Isaac is the son of the promise, the firstborn. The firstborn, the blessing of the firstborn goes to Isaac. And Sarah, we're told, conceived him or received strength to conceive seed. Well, okay, what's so big, so much a big deal about that? The Greek word conceive. The Greek word conceive. It is the same word. It's the same Greek word, katerbole or something like that. It is the same Greek word translated as foundation. foundation in Revelation 13:8. The Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
Thanks for watching, and be on the lookout for more new Open Forum excerpts that will be added periodically.